Hello and welcome to this episode of Peak Life. Today we're talking about the Real Estate Assessor's office. And here with me to tell us all about it is the Real Estate Assessor himself, Greg Daniels.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for being here, Greg. So we're talking today about a large portion of how our city gets its revenue, and that's thanks to your office. What in general does the Real Estate Assessor's office do?
Well, for starters, we have to keep track of every ownership change that occurs. So every deed that is processed at the circuit court, we have to then update the tax records in our system. So that's a pretty big job that we handle.
Yeah.
We also administer the land use deferral program. And then mostly we value every piece of property in the city of Chesapeake.
And that is probably what most people know your office of doing. So you determine the price of, say, I'm a Chesapeake resident, you're going to determine the price of my property and my home in order to tell city council or in order to figure out how much I should be taxed for real estate?
Correct. It's considered an ad valorem tax. So the tax system is based on value. So our job by state code is to value every property, whether it's commercial or residential, at 100% of its market value. We determine the market value based on predominantly looking at sales. So we're trying to find similar properties that have sold, and that's the basis of our valuation system.
That is a huge job. I mean, Chesapeake is a massive city. Are you even doing this on properties that don't have houses or like farmland and other?
Correct. Any property, so we have about 93,000 parcels in the city of Chesapeake. We have to value every one every year. So as you ride down any road, if it's vacant land, we have to determine that value. If it has a single family home, we determine that value. Apartment complex, we do that value. We have to value Greenbrier Mall, Chesapeake Square Mall, the Dollar Tree Town Center. So it is a very challenging job.
So we as residents kind of get reminded that you exist once a year when we get that letter in the mail that tells me, here's how everything's assessed. But surely this process takes forever. Like how long does it take you to evaluate
It takes
all
us
those?
pretty much, we work on it all year long.
Okay.
In addition to doing the reassessment, we also have to go out and work every building permit that's issued in the city. So we're having to go out, we actually walk through any new house being built. We walk through it, we count the bedrooms, the bathrooms. My staff sketches by hand. They hand draw every sketch to calculate the square footage.
Oh my goodness.
So we're pretty busy, but the reassessment process is kind of a year-round basis where we're always trying to improve on our valuations.
Oh my goodness. So you probably work closely with the development of permits. So if I, ask for a permit for a house addition or something, are you involved in that?
As soon as you take out your permit, that night it's automatically uploaded into our database system.
Okay.
And then we work that process continually until it's finished.
Wow. So let me ask you this. If my house square footage, let's just say, is the same exact size, property same size as a neighbor down the street, but my neighbor down the street is a great interior decorator, she's got those marble countertops, it's nice and bougie inside, like does that make a difference to what you guys do, or do you guys base it solely on square footage?
We look at the square footage, the location, but mainly to your point, we look at the quality of the construction and the condition.
Okay.
So if you have an older home that you have not renovated, we're going to have your value less than the neighbor that just did a renovation, as long as we know about that renovation. So we're only as smart as who takes out building permits. So if people are doing a lot of work without a building permit, we may not know about that right away.
Okay. You made an important distinction at a city council meeting a few weeks back about how your business or your office is solely responsible for determining the value. City council is the one in charge of determining the tax rate. Is that right?
That's correct. So we value every piece of property in the city, and we have to distinguish the ones that are exempt from the ones that are taxable. And then it's the tax rate that is applied to our assessment that calculates the tax. So by state law, we have to try to be as close to 100% market value as we can. So one of the things that citizens sometimes get upset about is we don't set the market, we follow the market. So as the market goes up, we have to raise our assessments in order to be in compliance with state law.
Okay.
If the market comes down, if we have a housing bust or the bubble pops or however people want to describe that, then the following year we're going to have to lower our assessments. But it's a continual trying to push our values or pull our values as close to 100% as possible. The tax rate comes into play when the city manager delivers his budget. The budget needs to have a certain amount of revenue to come in to provide all the services. So council has that difficult job of trying to balance the revenue and the services, and that's where the tax rate decision comes into play.
Okay. It sounds like it's a little bit of a catch-22 because it's like you want your property to be valued well and high. You know, I want my house to be more expensive in the market, but then you get that tax bill and you're like, oh, that's right, I got to pay for it. What else do you all do? You know, how big is your staff? How often are you guys going out into the community?
So we have around 27 people that make up the entire department. That's the clerical, the admin division, as well as the appraisers. There's about 15 appraisers. As far as going out, we're continually looking at, so the city just received an aerial flyover on February the 10th. That software allows us to measure vertically and horizontally within 1/10 of a foot.
Oh, wow.
So part of what we do is we do annual inspections of entire neighborhoods where the appraisers actually pull up these aerial images and we're comparing our sketch and our data on one monitor to the flight that we see.
Wow.
And we can see things that have been added. So if someone's added a pool and we didn't know about it, we'll see it in the photograph, we'll add it. So it's just a continual process to keep our data accurate.
Well, it sounds like that you guys must be very thankful for that technology. I mean, otherwise,
It makes a big difference.
Massive.
Yes.
Talk to me briefly about the appeal process. So, you know, I get my assessment and I'm like, there's no way that my property is worth that. What kind of recourse do I have?
All right, so we mail the notices on March the 1st every year if your value changed. And so the month of March is pretty busy for our office. We have a lot of people that call in. So the first part of the appeal is the informal appeal, and really it's open all year long, but we emphasize to try to appeal in the month of March. And we do that because the second part of the appeal process is to appeal to the Board of Equalization. That's a court-appointed board of citizens that hears the assessment appeals. It's like kind of a mini court case. Whatever the board decides is what we have to make our value. But the deadline to appeal to that Board of Equalization is March the 31st.
Okay.
So that's why we encourage people to appeal to us in the month of March, so that if they don't like the outcome of our review, they have that option to go to the Board of Equalization.
Sure.
And the third recourse is to go to circuit court.
Okay. So you do have options.
Right, there are options, and if someone thinks their assessment's wrong, we're happy to talk to the individuals, and you know, sometimes we have to offer to go out and take a look at the property. And you know, particularly if someone says the condition of my home isn't good, we need to come out and see that condition.
Okay. Greg, anything else we missed about the real estate assessor's office? Anything you want to put out there?
I don't think so, other than the fact that, you know, we look at the sales. And that is the predominant basis of our value. And you know, every once in a while, we'll have a neighborhood that doesn't have any sales, and that's where we use our professional knowledge and our statistical modeling to compare similar neighborhoods as close as we can get. So we think, you know, I'm pretty proud of the job our staff does, and we have a great reputation in Virginia as being one of the better assessment offices. So
that's right, you guys got an award not too long ago.
So we're certified by the International Association of Assessing Officers, and I think our website gives a lot of good information. So I would encourage citizens to go to the property information website, and every night that site is updated with sales that have occurred, and so they can go to their property, and then one of the tabs is the neighborhood sales tab, and they can kind of take a look at what things are selling for.
That's great. Greg Daniels, Real Estate Assessor for the City of Chesapeake. Thank you so much for all this great information. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Well, that does it for this episode of Peak Life. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.